Hey, thanks for clicking the link and watching this video. My name's Ben and this is my video log. I am building a game in Unity and documenting the process as I go along. So yeah, stick around and hopefully you get to see or learn something about my game. Before we start though, let's open a beer. Brewdog IPA. Thank you, Punk IPA. So I didn't do a video last week. I got to my desktop, put my camera on, opened up the project, and my eyes were stinging like crazy, and I was just so tired that I actually fell asleep at my desk, and I thought I'm not even going to bother with a video. So yeah, nothing last week, but since then done quite a bit on the game. It's moved on nicely, and yeah, I want to quickly go through some of the changes. So let's just launch the game. For those that are joining, I've been doing a lot of work on the FPS, like trying to keep this nice and high. Bearing in mind I'm videoing at the moment, recording the screen as well. I think that's why there's a bit of a drop, but this is normally around 60, 70 frames per second on this particular scene. So yeah, really happy with the FPS at the moment. It's super smooth. I've been playing around with the pipelines again, got my my settings looking so much better than they were before. So really happy with performance and the look and feel of the game now. Been doing a bit of modelling on the environment as well, as you can see. I've also got redone the nighttime mode. The torch is looking a little bit better now. There's a little bit of head bop with the torch as well. It's hard to see, but it is sort of moving up and down with your head movement, which is quite nice. Makes it just feel that little bit more realistic, I guess. There's loads of orbs all over the world at the moment. These, which we'll get to in a second. That was another major part of the game. Yeah, so pretty happy with how graphically it's looking now. Managed to get the ultra sharp shadows on, which are just super slick. Love it. Beams of rays of beams coming through rather. And all at a nice glorious 60 plus FPS. So last week I didn't actually spend too much in the game because I was developing my own dialogue system. I had a problem. I downloaded some dialogue systems from the Unity asset store, and although they were brilliant, they didn't do one thing that I really wanted. And the one thing I wanted was for the text just to continuously flow into the next sentence. Most of them, or the ones that I found at least, all had a continue button option, which was really frustrating. So, you know, this sentence would come up and you'd have to come over here and click the continue button for the next sentence, and then again, and then again. And every time you're doing that, the camera's moving with you. So I didn't want that. I actually wanted it to do what it's doing now. And hence I built my own dialogue system. I started off with a tutorial, got my head around that, and then yeah, just went from there really and developed it. So now, and I'm happy to share this code if anyone's interested or wants it. You know, just leave a comment or something, or get to me on Twitter. My username Zerosim, ZEROSIMS. More than happy to share it if someone finds it useful. But what I've got now, first of all, what I've got is a lot less nests rather. I did like all my triggers and dialogue systems were quite deeply nested, which was getting a bit messy to follow. I can actually get rid of the trigger altogether. I don't need that anymore. That's just so I can visually see where they are at the moment. But I'm going to hide those. So I've actually only got one layer, and I essentially attach my script to an object that I want to. You know, when I collide with it, triggers the dialogue. And down here you can see what the script's doing. So for each line you can now pick a font. That was something some of the dialogue systems did. So I thought, yeah, it's a good feature because a lot of the information is just the monologue, which is one text, but then there's instructional information which needs to look different. So having that ability was important to me. I can now add my sentences, create an array and chuck in each sentence. Then I can pause at the end of each sentence and decide how long I want it to hang around for, so it gives the user a bit of time to read it all. My camera's in the way, so I've just got to move this. Yeah, this is the other thing, again, probably quite unique to my game. Some of these triggers, I want you to have met a certain objective before it activates, and I can do that now. If an objective is required, I can put in what number the objective is, and every time you collect an objective, that number increments. So I just need to keep track on and make sure like the right dialogue is triggered by the right objective number. And you can change the speed at which the text appears. I might hide that, to be honest. I might make that private because I'm not going to make it unique for each part. So that's my dialogue system. Just have a very quick look. Nothing clever with the code really. I know I could go back and, you know, I could start minimizing it if I wanted and doing stuff like this. I think with C# that would still work. But you know what, for the sake of simplicity, I just kept it a very, very simple. Yeah, a function which essentially, yeah, so here's how it works. You assign the script to the object that you want to collide with. We have this object tag, so only the player can trigger these, and that's done. Where's Unity gone? Over here. So I've got my player, and he has this tag player, so that's unique to the player. So only the player can trigger these. I've got this flag to make sure, or to check whether it's been triggered before. Oh yeah, this was another point actually. I might need to do an abstract another layer, I think, here to manage the overall story flow, because you can land yourself in this situation where you trigger a story on top of a story and it doesn't know which one's playing, so it tries to manage the two together and you get this weird thing. So here we go. See that? We've got the mixture of the two conversations happening at once because I've triggered them both at the same time. So I need to figure that out. I think I can do that with the characters that are popping up one at a time and just reset that if the story's already been triggered. Anyway, yep, so I can check if it's been triggered. If it's not been triggered, I'll just go off and run the script. And you know, first thing I do is say, now it's triggered, cool. We get the sentence, we've got an array of sentences, so we look for the line number, blitz the first one, and set the line number to 0. Yeah, I have to move the objects that you're colliding with out of the way rather than delete them. I found when I was killing them or destroying them, the conversation would go with it. So rather than do that, what I've just done is put them like way low out of the way. And then we've got this coroutine which triggers the like sort of step-by-step printing of each character, which is down here. So this just loops through each character in that sentence of the array and prints out each each character at the type speed which you define, which we defined in which we defined down here. Boom, 0.01. The next sentence is just a function to, you know, once it's reached the end of that sentence, obviously move on to the next one. I might add the option to have a continue button for certain sentences where I might want the player to sort of acknowledge that they read it. But at the moment, I'm just going to leave it as is. So yeah, there we go. A pretty simple script, but it took a few days to get together. When I say a few days, again, like bear in mind, I'm not doing this full time at the moment, so this is just like on and off. And I really enjoyed it. You know, I've not done a lot of coding for a while, especially not at work. So to be able to do something like this that's actually useful to me and to my game is really, it was really quite interesting and exciting, and very different from what I have been doing. So I have been using Playmaker, which is, if you don't know, a very sort of visual based code node-based approach to coding, which is really cool. I really like it, but sometimes it is just easier to do the logic yourself in code. I found myself like, this is no, I don't mean to belittle Playmaker in any way, shape, or form, because it's bloody awesome. And like, once you get your head around it and you know what all the functions they provide do, like, you can really sort of blitz through things. But I found myself not necessarily knowing what functions were available. For example, Boolean's a great one actually. If I look at the action window, so they've got what you'd call a Boolean test, and this is like comparing a Boolean for its true value. If it's true, do something. If it's false, do something else. I would never have known to have looked for Boolean test. I was looking for it's just the terminology, Boolean test. What was I looking for? Like true false checker, comparison. I can't even remember now. But like, to me, like, the Boolean test, it just didn't, like, the terminology just didn't work for me. And I know what they're doing. They're trying to make this accessible to all kinds of people, which is great. But again, it's like, it's one of those things where you've got to learn their lingo to be able to sort of move quickly. And I feel like I'm getting there with Playmaker, but I couldn't do the dialogue system as quickly as I liked, as I wanted to, really. And I'm no coding expert. I know the basics. I used to do Java. I know how classes, functions, variables, and all the different like states of a variable: static, private, protected, etc., and all that sort of stuff. So there's definitely some crossover I can use to C#, and I just thought, well, syntax at the end of the day, that's what I don't know about C#, and it's a lot easier to get answers for the C# stuff than it is Playmaker sometimes, or a lot quicker to get to the answer. So yeah, that's why I decided, actually, for this particular system, the dialogue system, I'm just going to do it in code. Yeah, so that happened last week. I also had a conversation with Tyler Klein, so a bit of a shout out to Tyler for approaching me. Like, we had a really cool conversation yesterday, in fact, or the day before. What day is it? It's Wednesday. Yeah, the day before, about the game. He's offered to do me a free track, which is amazing. I'm deeply appreciative of that, because I can't do music. I throughout my game development career, I've done sound effects. I've never been able to do music. So having someone on board who's willing to do a track for free is phenomenal. And yeah, well, this is what I love about the indie dev community, is you do get a lot of support and help. So massive shout out to him. I'll put his Twitter link down below, so please do check him out and follow him. And I'll have a quick beer, and I think that we're done. Oh yeah, moving on. Next week, or what I'm working on now is, these orbs are triggering the story. I've rewritten the story, not rewritten it, but readdressed a lot of the context. Man, why am I finding this so hard to talk today? Or this week, actually. Yeah, so I'm rewriting this from a different tense. I may have mentioned that last time, but I keep rereading stuff, finding mistakes, readdressing it. So I think I've got the storyline pretty tidy now, up to the point where you hit the campsite. Now I need to work on the nighttime scene where the aliens arrive. So yeah, I'm in a good place right now. And yeah, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Peace out and all that malarkey. Subscribe and follow and yeah, whatever. Later.